Hello, good evening, good morning, good afternoon. Welcome to another evening session of the reading of the Northern Lights anthology of Canadian fiction and continuation of my reading of Sacrifice. I am once again your host, Pixel Broadside, otherwise known as Pinoy in Victoria. Welcome all to this continuation. So please sit back and relax. Maybe settle in to a comfortable sofa and, you know, grab a soothing cup of tea as we proceed through Adele Wiseman's The Sacrifice. I am going to proceed from, I guess, the second half of page 70, and we'll go from there. So, dim the lights and let's proceed. Take your job, take your miserable pay. Abraham made up the words as he went along. Do you think we're your slaves here, that you can bully a man who's nearly old enough to be your father? Ah, said Chame. Aha! That was telling him, right into his gallstones. To look at the boy, you'd think that he wouldn't utter a contrary word. But just you step on his toes, just try to offend his sense of justice. Ha! Then you'll hear from him. And can you imagine the sheep? Not one of the other workers to lift a finger, not one to take his part. That gross barbarian could have flayed the old man alive, and none of the workers would have stopped suing. That's the world we lived in. No wonder it took 40 years to get out across the desert. But wait, just rely on my sons. Has he got another job yet? And that's another thing. He wanted to get on as a full-time teacher in the Hebrew school. He went to Reb Slotnick. You know Reb Slotnick, how he gargles with joy when he talks about the way Isaac prepares his pupils for the bar mitzvah. And well, he might. I've never missed one of Isaac's bar mitzvahs yet, if I could help it. I don't have to tell you. You've seen them yourself. How the words come out so clearly, and the little speech afterward, how cleverly it's turned, and never the same thing twice. One can see that Isaac teaches them not only the words and the mechanical things, but shows them how to feel what an important thing it is that they are coming into their manhood, into their responsibilities as Jews. And the mothers praise him. Only last week that Mrs. Katz, who had the little barrel schmillig for a son, spread herself over one of the kitchen chairs and started to sing his praises. Her voice still rings in my ears. She wanted to kiss him on both cheeks. She wanted to marry him to at least three different girls that she knew. But this I told her not to worry her head about. Reb Slotnick? To praise the boy is one thing. It doesn't cost him anything. To give him a job is a different story. The school is poor. It doesn't pay much. They already have their quota of teachers and not enough pupils. Giving jobs is not really up to him. Every possible excuse. But he promised Isaac that he would keep him in mind. So, in the meantime, he has a job in another shop. He won't stay idle, and especially now that he has his mind on a girl already. So, said Shem. So, said Abraham, on Friday night we will have a guest for supper. On Friday evening, with Ruth clinging nervously to his arm, Isaac tried to approach the house as though for the first time. How would she see it? Would she be disappointed? It was true that her sister's house, where she lived, was not much better. Still, Isaac had explained to her that it was not very modern and that it was rather small. Wishing to be completely frank, he had told her further about the landlord being a bootlegger. Not really a bootlegger, but a sort of contact man, from what they could gather. Sometimes strange things went on around the backyard garage at night. Trucks drove up, trucks drove away, but all this they tried to pay no attention to. It was, after all, the landlord's own business if he wanted to risk his neck in dishonest affairs. Isaac noticed the newly painted fence and window ledges gleaming under the late setting sun. Attractive, he thought hopefully. He stopped outside the yard. This is it. I think I passed it before, said Ruth, unwilling to admit that she had slipped past this house many times. It's been painted? Oh, just freshened up a bit, said Isaac. My father and I did it ourselves. Don't like it to get too shabby. They lingered outside for a little while. Inside, Abraham helped Sarah to lay the dining room table. He did not usually help with the knives and forks, but today he felt active. Poor child is an orphan, he told Sarah. We must do our best to make her feel at home right away. It cannot be too happy for her to have no real home, to have to live with a married sister. We must make her feel that we're her own. Sarah agreed. The time had come. She didn't know whether she was happy that it had come or not. It was the first time that any other woman had shared her table with her men. There is only one thing that is worse than to be left without your parents, Abraham was saying, and that is to be left without your children. And who should know better than we, who have had a taste of both? When Isaac and Ruth arrived, Abraham set about making the girl feel at home. He monopolized the conversation for the greater part of the evening. If there was a pause, he rushed in to fill the breach. He joked and he told stories, and he felt that the evening was a tremendous success. Did I have a time in the shop today? A butcher has to be made of iron. Abraham turned to Sarah. You remember the Slutskys from the old country? Sure you do. He used to speculate. Slutsky, the foolish thief, they used to call him. Couldn't read a page of Hebrew. They used to say he had to get someone else to count the money he stole. His father was a fine old man. I remember him. How could he have such a son? And his mother, with one brown eye and one blue, they called her the speckled hen. Well, in Canada, he's not such a fool. He's got a big family. His wife is dressed in honey and in butter, a big feather in her hat, paint on her lips so that she looks as though she's got something bitter in her mouth. This Mrs. Slutsky, she comes in, and I'm making an order for Jack Lazar. You know, with the short foot. He watches the scale like his life depends on it. It always gets busy like this when Polsky is away at the slaughterhouse. It's all right, she calls out. It's all right. I'll slice my own corned beef. You're busy. I'll make myself at home. So she gets herself paper and she starts to slice. But I know her already, so while Lazar has his face pushed in the scale, he's worried maybe I'll give him a drop less. I've got my eye on her. One slice she cuts on the paper, the other slice she slips in her mouth, one slice on the paper, another one in the mouth. And she's so dainty. Fat little fingers with points like a fork, red like blood. Born to pick up the corned beef. One finger in the air, throws back her big feather, like a rooster, and into the mouth. And thinks yet that I don't see her. Meanwhile, I'm trying to hurry and wrap the meat for Lazar. But he's not in such a hurry. He scrapes off a little bone from the scale, puts on another piece of meat instead, craning around right from the other side of the counter. It weighs too much. He takes it off, looks at me, makes like he doesn't know anything, puts it on again. And she slices, slices, eat, slices. At last, Lazar lets me wrap up the meat, but not until he's pulled out the paper, so it has to lie naked on the scale. Thinks maybe the needle will go down a little. And with Lazar, it's funny. He always tries to do all this and yet make like he doesn't care about it. Stands with his face in the scale and pretends he's looking at himself in the little glass. Dances on his long foot, dances on his short foot. Pulls the paper out from under the meat like his hand got in with it by accident. When he goes out, thank God, I come over to Mrs. Slutsky. Take the slicer from her hand. You'll tire yourself, I say to her. How much do you want? Oh, she says. That's about enough. Just for my family, you know. I don't eat so much of that kind of stuff. But they like it, so I take. And she gives the meat such a look that it almost gets up and crawls into her mouth. I hope your family enjoys the meat. I say when I give her the little parcel. It's freshly made. So she burps, if you'll excuse me, in my face. But not common, no, the red nails in front of the mouth. Excuse me, she says, gas. No, I say. That's too bad. Is your diet maybe? I don't think so, she says. I'm very careful. They all laughed at Abraham's description. Why do you take it? Asked Ruth. Why don't you tell her off? Believe me, I'd tell her. No, you have to be nice to a customer. So much you consider it's overhead. Besides, God's got his eye on her. Who do you think is going to have gallbladder trouble? She or I? Personally, said Isaac, I'd weigh her when she comes in and weigh her when she goes out and make her pay for the difference. So clever fellow. Polsky would need a livestock scale too. One thing I know, Abraham turned to Ruth. My grandchildren won't be butchers or tailors. Abraham explained to Ruth how he had had a son who would have been a wonderful cantor, and how one of his sons had started his studies at 3 and had put to shame his teachers. Do you think that Isaac would have been a tailor? Even now, he makes those others at the synagogue who stare blindly at the holy books look silly, in spite of the fact that he sometimes talks like he is a bit of an atheist. Sarah noticed how tactfully Ruth steered the conversation away from this dangerous point, and she watched the girl with a kind of helpless fascination, knowing that the time had really come. Isaac's heart seemed to expand in his chest with the pressure of gratitude and love. Fool that he was, he could not resist discussing his ideas with his father, knowing what the result was likely to be, yet feeling at the same time that they were somehow not clean and honest thoughts unless he admitted them to Abraham. It was like a blockade that his ideas had to run to give them the right to exist. But everything went so smoothly with Ruth. How well she fitted in with them. He made herself right at home and insisted on helping with the dishes. His father liked her, he could tell. When she went with Sarah to do the dishes in the kitchen, Abraham decided that he too would like to help. And there he was, with a towel in his hand, as though he did this every day, talking and joking, telling her about the partnership that he was going someday to form with Shame Knopp. It was already some 3 years since the thought had entered the head of Shame and Abraham that they should form a partnership. During that time, they discussed the idea, examined it from every angle, and in the light of every development in their respective lives, spent long hours in meeting imaginary obstacles, and repeatedly come to the conclusion that it would be a fine idea. It took some time for Abraham to realize that Shem, even though he was the elder, would not make the first move. Gradually, he began to understand that the Soichet would be content not to make any move at all, just to talk. Having to make a move might even accept shame, considering all the real problems that it would present. We gave up any idea of having the partnership become a reality in fact, although both he and Shame continued to refer to it as an imminent possibility. At home, it became a sort of joke, and Abraham explained to Ruth how one department of the partnership was devoted to preparing kosher tidbits for the family cats, and how they had expanded the business just as Polsky always talked of doing, but of course on a grander scale, so that now it was an international affair. Unfortunately, they would have to abandon plans for a branch on the moon. How could a good Jew mix meat and the cheese? Abraham was delighted at the sound of this girl's laughter in his house. He was not now unhappy that the partnership was not a fact. It was getting late for the old to conquer the world. Let the young start anew. Do you think he really liked me, your father? Ruth asked as Isaac walked her home. Liked you? Your family concern. Did I get 2 minutes alone with you? Your mother's very quiet, like you said. It must seem funny to her. I mean, you and a girl? The way she looks at you. How? Said Isaac. I mean, what do you think of them? Of us? I like them, said Ruth, even from before. I feel at home with them. It's so good to be able to feel at home. She pressed against his arm. You are, said Isaac fervently. You are. guys, that is the end of chapter 5. So I basically read from page 70 up to the first half of page 74. So, yeah, that is it for tonight. Thank you for joining me for another session of going through The Sacrifice of Adele Wiseman. Hopefully, I can continue with this. It is a long novel. Yeah, I am seeing this right now. This is a very long book. Still, this is something that I'd like to do, and I'm in no rush. In any case, I hoped that you enjoyed the session as well. So, if you have, please join me, hopefully, in the next session. Uh, Also, if you want to support the growth of the channel, I would appreciate you leaving a like, a comment, or maybe subscribing and supporting this small channel's growth bit by bit. I also have a Patreon, although it's not really used that much. You can also support us there. Maybe I can get a new laptop eventually. Maybe. In any case, thank you again. Again, this is your host, Pixel Broadside, otherwise known as Apino in Victoria. I hope to see you again next time. And before you go, please go out there and make a better place, the world a better place, especially for small people like myself. Good night and take care.